Next, State Comptroller Judy Baar Topinka announces her plan to inform taxpayers about how their money is spent within the state budget. Comptroller Topinka says she'll be adding this information when she sends out tax returns this spring. This runs about 15 minutes.
But let me cut to the chase here, because one of the priorities, as you know, that we've done, because we've done some of this before, is to find new and creative ways to bring more transparency and accountability to government. If it's out there and it's information that we can get our hands on, we want to make sure that we make it available to you and to the public as quickly as possible, so that it's all readily available and you ultimately can follow the money. So when you consider all the ways we get our information now, from computers, phones, text messages, social media, there's really no reason for anyone to have to fill out a FOIA or to have to go through any kind of difficulty to find out about their government. They should not have to go through that. And so it's our desire to try and make it as easy as possible. So last year we set a new standard, I think, for transparency in state government by launching what we call the Ledger. It's an online site giving taxpayers everything from the state's bill backlog, daily receipts, ending balances, to our most popular site, which is the State Employee Salary Database. Everyone loves that one. Now, that's why this fall we introduced the Warehouse, a user-friendly database that allows taxpayers to click their way through thousands of local government financial records to see how their tax dollars are being spent locally. So after all, each year our office collects financial reports from approximately 5,200 taxing bodies, counties, municipalities, special taxing districts from all across the state. They're there, so you've got a lot to go to. We put all these records and other pertinent local government information on a database for taxpayers to review, because we're now essentially allowing taxpayers to scour our warehouse, to be a part of government, to see how their money's being spent. Now, these were fantastic first steps, but I've consistently said that we're not going to settle for what we have, and we're going to try and get more information out into people's hands, because we know when people watch government, it's less likely that government is going to go astray. Which brings us to today. Now, whenever I travel the state and I meet with constituents, and they always ask, community groups, they ask about spending, and it's a fair question. People don't understand how they keep getting taxed, they keep paying more, and yet somehow the state can't dig out of its hole. So they ask, where is the money going? And I appreciate the question. So we've launched our latest initiative to help answer it. Beginning this winter, every resident who has a state income tax return coming to it, they're going to receive an insert which details how state agencies spend their money on everything from education, Medicaid, to human services and corrections. And you see here what it looks like. It gives you an overview on where their money is going. So when they say, you really need to cut, and legislators say, you know, we really need to cut, well, all right, where do you want to cut? This is what you see. Do you want to take it out of education? Do you want to take it out of health care over there, or retirement systems, transfers, things of that? This is where it's at. So as a result, it might give the taxpayer a little bit of a better idea of what is out there, and if cuts should be made, where they should come from. So I think they get an insight into the state's ongoing bill backlog as well. It'll include snapshots showing how it fluctuates throughout the year. Because I know when we talk and we have our press conferences, the numbers will change, and it'll depend upon the monies coming in. It will go up and down. Specifically, the insert's going to document an estimated backlog at the end of fiscal year on June 30th, and then 6 months later, as we are now, at the end of the calendar year. So finally, constituents, I think, will be reminded of our ledger and warehouse transparency sites, where they can take it then to drill down even further. So this will give them some place to start. In addition to being inserted in tax return envelopes, the information is also going to be prominently displayed on our IllinoisController.com website. So as a result, if anyone is getting their monies electronically, and they obviously are not going to get it in an envelope, they come to our website, it will be prominently displayed there, so they will see that. And before I go any further, I have to give credit where credit is due. Cook County Treasurer Maria Pappas launched a similar initiative last year with local property taxes, and I think it helped raise an awareness with her constituents. And I thought that was such a good idea and said, could we do it one step further and have a similar tool for our taxpayers on the state level? And that's exactly what we did. I'm also enthusiastic about this project because, as I've said right along, governments will always act more responsibly when they know that the public has access to what's going on. So the more people we have paying attention, the better off we're all going to be. And beyond that basic truth, I believe this initiative will help generate discussion and better understanding, because how often do we hear people say, we need to have cuts, cut. You're spending too much money. Fine, be a part of that discussion. Where do you want to cut? And when you have it figured out, then you get to your representative or you get to your senator and you say, I've looked at this. I have an idea where we're spending the money. This is where I think you could make a difference. It really gets them involved in government. I think with this information, taxpayers will be able to make their own decisions on where they think cuts should be made. They can even turn it into a game of how would I balance the state budget and share that with their legislators. The demand is there, and who knows, maybe we'll make a game version of it next year, kind of like state budget monopoly. Whatever it takes to get people engaged, get them off the mark, get them involved. So I encourage you to check out this information. Let us know what you think you'd like further to see, because as I said before, we're not done yet. If it involves state government and money is being exchanged here, we're going to go after it, and we are going to do whatever we have to do to get that kind of information out and about for you in the press, the public, and anybody else who's interested. So that having been said, if you have any questions, I will be ready to answer them, I hope. Any questions? Right. It gives you the information to take action should you want to. I mean, the average person on the street is not going to be able to change this per se. Although they may get so put out, they'll be like many other folks who run for public office. They get angry, they want to make a change, they run for public office using this as a background. Or the easier way, they contact their representative, they contact their senator, they have information at hand, and say, this is where I think you can make the cuts. This is where I think you can make life better for Illinois, and so on. It arms them, if you will. Oh, my God. So I don't know if your question is heard by all, but in my experience, where do I think we can make improvements? There are all sorts of ways that you could make improvements. I continue to stress we need to combine the Office of Treasurer and Comptroller. That's a $12 million savings a year. Throw in the lieutenant governorship, that's another $3 million. That's $15 million right there you can save, and no one will have their life affected one way or another. I mean, they're not going to feel some kind of pain because it will consolidate. We can consolidate offices, we can consolidate agencies. There are commissions, there are committees, there are all sorts of things that can be kept or eliminated depending upon what the public wants to do. Some of these things are just a waste of time. Get rid of them. If they don't work, get rid of them. Or if you can make them better and they're worthy, then make them better. But there are all sorts of ways. I know politicians love to yell about waste. Well, it's there. But don't just talk about it, get rid of it. We're there, we'll help. I'm sorry? Sure. I mean, government can be reduced. It doesn't have to spawn. And that's what it does. And much of this is duplication in many cases. Get rid of the duplication. You can consolidate all sorts of things. Yes, ma'am. It is a very minimal cost because the mail is already going out. So it's just a sheet of paper that gets slipped in. And again, on the website is already existent, goes on the website. So it's minimal.
Where is the state's, in the first half of the fiscal year, where is the number for the state's backlog of unpaid bills? How has it changed in the first half of the fiscal year?
Well, as we said originally, we had done better in the first part of the year in terms of more money coming in. So we were able to pay down more bills, and that reduced the backlog considerably. But we also said that by December, we would probably be back up to about $9 billion. And we're right around there. We're right around there, exactly where we said we'd be.
Where can you guess where that's going to go in the next few months towards the end of the fiscal year, where that number will end up?
Do we have that number?
Yes. Right now, we started the month right around 9. Dropped down a little bit, but through the winter, heading into the spring, we expect it'll continue to grow. So we'll get closer to 9 again, and then we'll hit tax season. And as those tax revenues start coming in, we'll watch it start dropping, leading into the new fiscal year. And then we'll watch it start going up again.
That's why we want you to be aware of the fluctuation, because it will be significant, and depending upon tax season, and if we've done better in terms of the economy, more money will come in, more money comes in, more money goes out and pays bills. So it will fluctuate. We really want you to pay attention to that because the numbers will be significantly different. We don't know what the legislature is going to do. Do they wish to make it permanent? They have been living off of it as if it were part of the budget right along. If it is removed, obviously there's going to be a big hole. Now, other taxes and fees have been brought into the mix. We've also seen the pension bill pass, although that's going to be tied up in court, so there's not going to be any savings right out of the box, if at all, depending upon what the courts say. So that's still out to lunch. We don't really know what the effect of Obamacare is going to have. That is all over the map. And so I'd love to get something on our ledger here for Obamacare. We were talking about it this morning, but it's so iffy in terms of who's going to be on it for how long, when are they going to sign up. We just can't get our hands around anything solid there. And I think that drift is all over the United States, so it's not just Illinois. So we really are not in a position, but as fast as we will be to try and get something on the impact of Obamacare, going to try that. But we're going to see what the legislature does with that tax increase. That's going to have a major impact on us. They're going to have to work that out in terms of where they want to be. After all, it was promised that it was a temporary tax. We've seen temporary taxes become permanent in the past. Will this one become permanent? I think what I would recommend is decide where you want to be and then make the tax stay put, because it drives business crazy to have to go up and down and change everything that they do and what they have to pay, because you're jumping around in terms of the numbers. Predictability is extremely important to business. Not knowing whether or not the tax is going to stay at 5% or go back down to 3% just leaves them in a lurch. So I don't know where that's going to wind up, but it's going to be a legislative decision. I would like to see it expire, but I'm also practical enough to know that it will leave a horrendous hole. Before it expires, I want to know what you intend to do with the hole. Well, it's there. What do you want to cut? I mean, there's only certain ways that you can balance the budget. You either raise taxes, you lower taxes, you cut, or you do a combination of all of those. And I think the legislature is going to have to pay some attention to that.
You're watching the Illinois Channel, an independent nonprofit corporation formed to provide gavel-to-gavel coverage of Illinois state government and other public affairs events taking place across Illinois.